Welcome back, everybody, to the Huddle. I'm here with an amazing guest. She goes back as far as my college days. She was really a true friend, and when I was trying to really figure out who I was, and Sherrell Bailey is one to keep it straight with you. So when I was out here doing whatever I was doing, she would always come back and keep me in line. And it's actually a topic I want to talk about in the book about accountability, but this is a great friend of mine, very wise young woman, Sherrell Bailey. Say hello to the people.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Wallace, for having me on, and thank you for your kind words.
Hey, truth. So, Sherrell, I normally get our guests to select a book, and I did the same thing with you last month. And you came and picked up this book called Black Book by Mateo Askaripour. So, my first question, and I thought about this as I was reading it. Why did you decide to pick this book? Like what hit you when you read it the first time, when you went through it the first time that made you feel like I want to talk about it.
Well, so this book was a little different from the type of books that I like. I usually like to read. I like, fiction, a little ghetto fiction, a little bit. I say it's like a guilty pleasure. Some people like to watch Love and Hip Hop. I like to read some books like that. So I wanted to find a book that had a little more depth to it that I
Mm.
thought that you would enjoy reading. I had literally just finished the book about maybe a month or so before you reached out to me, and it was just a gravitating book that I just thought you would enjoy that book as well. It was well written, a lot of little hidden gems inside of it. And I thought that it would be a great book to discuss.
I 100% agree. You kicked us off before we got on camera, and you said you read something in the first intro. What was that you kind of kept an eye on during the entire book?
So it was the author's note. It was just the two lines that he put in the book. And he said, "To all those who have ever been made to feel less than, I see you." And I just thought that that was just, even if like not even jumping into the book, just somebody telling you that, if you've ever felt that, and somebody saying like, "I see you, I'm looking out for you, like you're not being overlooked out there." I thought that that was very important. Whether you decided to read the book or not, it's just an important line for somebody to tell you, especially to even read it on paper.
So what we like to do in the huddle is, yeah, we're reading the book and we're going through it, but we like to also bring real life into it. So, what instance have you experienced where you might have felt like you were belittled or little or not seen, and somebody picked around the corner and said, "I see you."
Ooh, okay, you didn't prepare me for that.
Oh yeah, we getting in there.
Uh,
It's not a book report. It's life right here.
Probably my current job. Now, I love my job. I honestly, if anybody asks me, I feel like I work for the best company in the world. I stand behind the mission. I stand behind the people that I work with. But we're a member-based organization. And
Mhm.
so sometimes when you have a member-based organization and you have people, there's kind of levels to it. So if I'm, a CEO of XYZ or things like that, they like to be treated a certain kind of way. And so when you're like the new person on the team, some people may make you feel like you don't know what you're doing, or you don't know what you're talking about, or go get so and so because I don't know why they got this new girl over here.
100%.
But my team is just so amazing that, if there was any point where, somebody would make you feel that way, my team has my back 100%. And they're like, you know what? That's just how so and so is. Don't worry about it. We see you for what you bring to the team, and they'll really, just kind of scoop up and take me under their wing. Like they're absolutely amazing.
I say it's funny because that's the book. I feel like he found that moment in work. And I recently this week, I was in a meeting and I had to present, and I was flowing. I was doing good, and then my boss tripped me up on something. And that's what he does. He likes to pick and make sure you understand the entire plan. But my project manager looked at me and he just gave me a little nod, and that's exactly what I felt like. I see you
Mm,
growing in this moment, and I'm gonna
hmm
continue to support you. And that, even though Man, I got caught up. I messed up. We figured it out. I felt empowered because I had that person that I see you, bro. You're growing.
Right.
So
Right.
stuff like that is so valuable. But for Buck to get that moment, he had to create his own moment. He was working at a Starbucks, and
Mm.
that's kind of where he got his nickname, Buck. And he was the manager, but
Right.
he felt an urge. He saw a guy that comes in there every day. He knew his order, what he wanted, but he felt an urge to step up and sell this man on something that's outside of his wheelhouse. This man knows what he wants. What moment
Hmm.
have you had a moment where you felt like you don't know where it came from? You just shined. It just came out of you, that it factor.
It was, again, I mean, I hate to keep using my same job, but literally, I've been
Use it.
employed with them for 2 years now. And it's just been very transformative for me in these last 2 years. So a lot of my situations may have come from this job. So I mentioned earlier, we were talking about, my calls that I had earlier. So we have these leadership academies, and at the end of their program, they have to present a capstone presentation, and they have a graduation ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
So my team, and I've never been like the lead on a project, but my director basically was like, "Oh, we have graduation and capstone, and we just need to figure out, how to get these 3 academies in here in alphabetical order, line them up, get them seated, how to get them out of their seats, and this was when we're in person, of course,
Yeah. Yeah.
but out of their seats behind stage to come on stage, and nobody wanted to figure out logistically how that worked. So I just took the time out to figure it out. It wasn't a big deal to me, but the program flowed flawlessly. Like
There we go.
I just, yeah, I just took the lead on it. I'm like, well, I need to make sure that I'm meeting with these academies. I just need to, get 15 minutes of these academies time where we're in person to go through the logistics. I got in front of these. I have never met. I literally had been with my job like 6 months, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know these people, and I'm standing in front of them, and I'm telling them what they need to do, where they need to be. And from there, like now that event is mine, and that aligns with my personal goals, my career goals. And it's like they know when that comes around, that's Sherrell's wheelhouse.
It's crazy how moments like that, like it's not even like, hey, I'm doing this so I can advance my career. I can take over this. It's just I feel it needs to be done. I feel like I can do it and I do it. Like
Mhm.
it's not even like and I think that's why it's so impactful to people. Is like I see that you just knew it had to be done, and you were the right person, the right vibe to get it done. I mean,
Right.
when the moment comes, you do whatever it takes, what you feel is needed
Hmm.
for it to become that big moment. It wasn't
Right.
intentional. It was just I'm just doing my job, what I felt was right.
Right.
I see people think that us football players just live on the football field, but you can translate that into the real world. Exactly what you did. You felt the
Yeah,
moment and
into
you
your
took
career.
advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So
Absolutely.
in all of this glory that we can find ourselves in certain moments, Buck got his glory moment, but then the next week he found himself in what he felt like trouble, hell week, where he felt like I can't do anything right. These people don't want me to succeed. And they had a quote in the book and said, in the middle of in every difficulty in our lives lives an opportunity.
Mm.
So, and you can stick with your job. That's fine. What what difficulty has shown up in your life that created opportunity for you?
So it wouldn't be this particular job, but I worked the job for 6 months. I hated that job. Like absolutely hated it. I hated getting up in the morning. I was literally late every single day because I would have to drag myself out of the bed to go to
Mm-hmm.
work. And it was not fulfilling to me. I wasn't doing anything. And some people be like, oh, you don't do anything all day. Like that's great. You get paid to do nothing. My mind
Nah.
doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
My mind needs to, I don't like an idle mind. I need to be productive. So I begged my mom. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need to quit this job. Like, I'm not happy. It's messing with my mental, like, and again, an idle mind. Like, what are you doing with that? I'm
Right.
not being a productive member of society, if it's not feeding me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just told her, I was like, please just, I promise 2 weeks, I'll have another job. And literally in 2 weeks after I quit, I had another job. It was a lower pay cut. It was further away. It was a hassle, but that administrative job, I think, gave me so many skills. It gave me an opportunity. I was like, had my first corporate job. So I was
Mm-hmm.
introduced to working with people that didn't look like me for the very first time. And I think that that's, important for you to be able to experience that. It doesn't have to be your everyday life, but
Right.
I got an opportunity to experience that. I got an opportunity to work with a lot of different people, expand on my skill set, for anything. And I think that that particular job, even taking a pay cut, having to travel, really with Atlanta traffic, an hour and a half to get to and from
It's
work.
real.
Yeah, but it set me up for my next job,
Mm-hmm.
and they saw the skills that I had and what I had learned and what I had to bring to the team. So it wasn't an ideal job, but it set me up for my career.
So my follow-up question is, did you realize what you were gaining in that time that you were frustrated? Like you learned, you say you got these clerical skills, you got the environment of being in corporate. Were you aware of that in that space, or did you like look back and be like, you know what? There was some value in there.
And at the time, I definitely didn't. It was just getting out of a bad situation, and just trying to. And this situation again wasn't ideal. It was better, and it was just like, do what you got to do. But I definitely appreciate the experience a lot more now than I did when I was there. I went through a lot of good things, a lot of interesting things happen, some
Yeah.
riffraff with managers and different experiences. But I think I can appreciate it more, now that I'm not in that
Not
position.
there. Yeah, it's definitely
Right.
a lot easier to look back and be like, I did gain something out of there. But see, I think that's
Yeah.
where,
And it's almost like you're like, oh my God, I did it. I overcame it. Like you made it through it. It's a good feeling.
yeah, I think that's kind of, Buck was able to understand why he was going through what he was going through. And it wasn't because he had it in his own mind. It was his support system around him told him like there is value in getting past it. It's supposed to be hell. It's hell week, but it's something for you on the other side. It's something for our entire family on the other side. And I think like right now, if you were going through a tough situation at work, you feel like you have more awareness just because all right, I went through something tough and I knew it was something to gain from it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going through something tough now. What can I learn from it? Is that the growth that you feel like you've gained after going through that tough space?
Absolutely. Once you go through it once, once you have that mindset that I got through it, you feel like you can take on the world, it's,
Yeah,
it's, it's only up from that moment, basically, so if
it's
it
up.
presents itself, to you again, you know how to deal with it, that it won't break you.
I say that's real. And I gotta take it back to football again. Like
Go ahead.
I remember people used to go through camp and quit. And I'd be like, bro, you already know what the pain feels like. You know the extent of it. Why would you quit now? You already gone through it. But if I realized, and by the time I was a senior, man, I knew how to manage the pain. I'm like, I know I'm hurt. It's gonna take me about 8 hours to recover if I get some sleep. I know how to manage it, but that's because I went through the pain, not knowing what was going on. And I feel like if
Mm-hmm.
if we realize that we go through pain, we go through tough situations, we're becoming tougher because of those situations. You don't walk into
Mm-hmm.
a tough situation tough.
Right.
You leave out of tough situation tough. So that's where I feel like that's the exact growth that we all have to. I guess sometimes we have to experience it because um, somebody could tell us all day long, all our lives, but sometimes it takes for us to go through that tough spot to be like, oh, you know what? I am tough enough to get through this. All that I
Mm-hmm.
can't stuff doesn't
Out of
exist.
here.
Yeah, get out of here. It's funny. My dad, it was it was two things I couldn't do when I was a kid. It was be disrespectful, and then I couldn't say can't.
Mm.
That is not, that is one word I had to figure out how to
Can't
reword
is
it.
not in your
Oh,
vocabulary.
He would not let. I mean, I probably got in as much trouble as disrespect or bad grades saying did it as I did when I said can't. Like that was because there's always a way. If there's a will, there's a way. And
Mm-hmm.
his other quote was you can find 1,000 ways not to do something. All you need is one to do it. So I just kind of grew up with that in my mind, in the back of my mind. I used to try to find a way to
Mm-hmm.
say can't, but when you kind of get that instilled in you, it produces some different reactions that people aren't used to.
I could imagine. I'm over here singing like, dang, I wish I would have grew up like that. Like, tell me, don't say I can't. I probably could have made it through a couple of things.
Hey, but look, now you know. So with the next generation, the co-workers underneath you. When you have children, you be like, you can't say can't. You can figure it out.
Right.
See, some of us we got to
Yeah.
learn the lesson differently.
No, exactly.
So the next step in Buck's maturity in this sales world, because that's what he went into. He went to a sales job, a company called Someone. Um, he learned, and I guess he kind of put some foreshadowing into to us in his side comments was, if you can sell, you can do anything. And he said, if you can save them money and you can save them time, there's no reason they won't buy. And it's not always about like them purchasing something from you. What I got from that quote is, if
Mm-hmm.
you add value to somebody else, and time and money is almost the most valuable things out there right now for people. If you add value to
Right.
somebody's life, it's almost no reason they shouldn't go the direction that you're trying to help.
They're gonna buy.
Yeah, you're trying to help them. And that's what I feel like people have to understand is like, if you offer help, you offer value to other people, then you can get them to move in a direction that's like, at the end of the day, beneficial to you. But some people
Mm-hmm.
you're so focused on, what do I need? I need you to buy this so I can eat. I need you to buy this so I can continue my business. But really, if you think about, in my mind, if you think about, how can I add value to your life? Adding value to your life helps bring value to mine. So in your job
Mm-hmm.
right now, what value do you bring to your clients, to your coworkers, to people?
Okay, so my job is it's mostly focused on assisting my team members. So I report directly to our director of events and to our dean of our leadership academies. And so, um, they're directors. One is a VP, so they don't like to get bogged down with the details.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I come in. So my everything that I do to is basically to make their job easier. So when we talk about taking the lead on these, graduations, like they don't have time to research, how many people are going to do this, what's the best way to do this, how many
Right.
minutes is this going to take. That's where I come in. So I'm going to always I'll actually advise them, like, you don't have to worry about that, like I'll take care of that, or do you need me to take care of that? I hope I'm answering the question.
No, I feel you, because what you're doing is
Yeah.
you're bringing value to the team. You're bringing value to actually to the client on stuff they don't even know about is happening. I'm kind of in the same position,
Exactly.
and what I do is, my job is to help logistically make sure the job stays on track. Like, it's not my job to go to get jobs. It's not my job to make everybody on site feel good. It's my job to help the job continue to move fluidly. I feel like we're kind of in the same position, and I feel the exact same way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go and look up the drawings, detail C7 on drawing A-2-1, and make sure that happens so the superintendent doesn't have to worry about it.
Right.
But what we're both doing is we're creating value. We're giving value to those that may be in higher positions, but also giving value to those clients that we're supporting. So
Right.
I feel like it's almost like part of the process. And what Buck went through, he went through pretty fast, because I mean, my man went from working at Starbucks to multi, I want to say millionaire. They probably didn't say it in a year and a half. So
Right.
he went through this process rather quickly. But it's not without frustrations. And one of the quotes, they said never let short-term frustrations disrupt your long-term gains. And that kind of goes back to purpose to me. Like if you always maintain and understand what the reason that you're doing it, his purpose was his mother. His purpose was his hopefully Soraya, his future wife, and hopefully his purpose was to hold on to his brownstone. Like if I were to ask you, Sherrell, and we're gonna get deep right now, what's your purpose right now?
What is my purpose? Oh, okay. I think it is to help other people to make their lives easier. I think that I took for granted the importance of, like, when you come out of college and people got these fancy jobs and they're moving all over the place. And I went into admin,
Yeah.
and it was just, at the moment, it seemed safe, right? Like I could do this, I've been in customer service. I'm kind of familiar with it. And it felt temporary for the moment. But as I move along in my career and I come in contact with a lot of different people, I realized that being an administrative is a skill that everybody does not have.
No.
And so they don't. And I learned that. And I'm okay with being behind the scenes. I'm okay with being someone's right-hand man. And, whatever I can do to make sure that the next person shines, to make sure that you are on the right track, you got everything that you need to be successful, then I'm successful.
And see,
So it's not a bad answer.
no, I feel you. And I honestly feel like you took me to that movie American Gangster, uh, where Denzel's character was Bumpy Johnson's right-hand man for years, for decades. And he was just learning how everything was. It wasn't his job to be the boss, but he was in a position where he was learning, he was growing, he was getting in different situations. But then eventually, when it was time, he was ready. And I feel like that's the space that you're in right now. And it's cool. Like you don't have to jump off into the deep end and be the boss. The best leaders learn how to follow. So then when they became leaders, they knew how to lead the followers because they were one. So like to me, I feel like it's crazy that we do completely different things. Construction, what would you call what you do? Program, what?
I'm going to say, I'm throwing this out here. It's not my title, but I'm going to event coordinator. That's what we're going to name it. Program.
Okay. Yeah. So construction and event coordination, completely different realms, but it create the same type spaces. And I want people to understand, like, no matter what direction, what space you're in, everybody kind of goes through the same steps. But the great thing about this space right here in the huddle is we can come and talk about. So you see it, you went through it in a different way that maybe it helps me understand it. I went through it in the mud, grinding out rebar and all of that. But I might be able to describe it in a way that maybe helps you. But I feel like the space like this helps us to see from those different angles and grow. So when we are those bosses, because at the end of the day, we're going to continue to grow and it's going to be our time.
Exactly.
We can see the world a whole lot more worldly, more rounded. You feel me?
Agreed.
So with the idea of being bosses and growing, and they say be careful of success. It could be the most dangerous thing you ever do. Why is that?
Well, if we want to take it to the book, I mean, we saw Buck, what happened, as he gained his success, the way that he started talking to people, the way that he reacted in certain situations. Once you're in that position and you can be used to people catering to you or people looking at you, stargazing, you may not be looking at, your homeboy from back in the day that's still doing the same old, Yeah, you're looking at them differently. And really it's because you've changed and other people may not have changed. And that's not always a bad thing. We want to continuously grow. But of course we want to grow in the right direction. So I could see that, while you're kind of climbing your ladder, whatever your ladder may be, you have a different view of the world, and you may actually really be looking down on some people while you're on your climbing your ladder.
No, that's 100%. I actually made my own quote while I was reading this book. It was
Okay.
we need people in our lives to keep us accountable. That's what I was talking about a little earlier. Because often we can't see ourselves. We have to be open to hearing what the world sees. Because as I'm climbing this ladder, I'm still me. I see the world from these two eyes. But
Mm-hmm.
if I don't realize that I'm changing, I'm acting a different way, and nobody tells me, and I'm not listening if they do, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to become that arrogant. I'm going to become that belittling figure because I'm just seeing me. I'm just seeing myself grow, ascend, change. I'm not even feeling the change. I'm just seeing myself looking down on people because of the position I'm growing into. And that's why I feel like you were so valuable to my life, because no matter what I did on Saturday, Sherrell Bailey was going to keep it 100 with me. And it didn't always feel good in the moment, but we need people like that. Like Buck, Soraya, his girlfriend, called him out. His best
Mm-hmm.
friend, called him out. He didn't like it. He didn't want to hear it, but he couldn't see himself changing in a negative light. His mother
Right.
called him out. His downstairs tenant called him out, but he didn't want to hear any of that. But we need people like
Right.
that in our lives. How do you
Mm-hmm.
receive that accountability, and are you able to discern it when because it can be just some negativity, but are you able to discern that accountability when it comes to you in life right now?
It has to be 100%. It has to be the right person, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it does. Certain people, I just know that I'm, like that's how I'm gonna be. Like, all right. I mean, I
I hear
know
you.
that about myself. So,
Yeah.
um, but the thing is that when it comes from the right person, I appreciate it a lot more. So I'm able to understand where you're coming from, and it depends on our relationship. If I'm valuing you a lot more, so I'm able to understand where you're coming from, and take that into consideration in how I move forward. But I mean, just it sucks. I'm self-aware. It just has to be from the right person in order for me to take it and do what I'm supposed to do with that information.
Well, I hope the right person sticks close to you. So we've been pretty much on the same page this entire time, but this is where I'm going to have to differ a little bit. So what I've
Okay.
learned is there's truth in everybody's feeling. So somebody might perceive me um, uh, as, let's say they perceive me in a negative space, a negative person, but I see myself as a positive person, and I look about all the spaces in my life where I'm positive. Well, if they feel like I'm negative, what am I doing that gives them that feeling? They may be wrong, but it's enough for me to hear that to evaluate, am I being negative? Because like I said, I can't see myself. The
Mm-hmm.
world can. So to me, even if I feel like a person may not even know what they're talking about, I feel like the fact that they have the feeling of something that I don't think deem as good, I need to at least evaluate it. I might go around the circle and think about it and be like, you know what? They don't know what they're talking about. But I feel like
Mm-hmm.
if you have the feeling to say this to me or to give me this feedback, then I believe it's worth um, the 30 seconds, the 5 minutes to kind of reflect on myself and my behaviors in that space. Because like I said, I could be a positive person 99% of the time of my life. But if I say I want to be a positive person holistically, I got to be able to see, all right, am I being negative to this person? Am I being negative in this space?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I've grown to the point where if anybody says anything, I take it as, all right, let me take a look at it. Let me reevaluate. I reevaluate myself so much.
You know what that's called?
What's that?
That's called growth.
Growth. I like that too.
That's growth.
Growth.
Because I'm not there yet.
I think it
And
takes a
then
whole lot
I
of
aim to
criticism.
be. I'm sure. And my friends already know that I'm sensitive, so they have to curate the message and pull it together and put a nice bow on it in order for me to receive it. But I'm gonna get there. You're inspiring me.
Well, you started that in college for me, so we're gonna help each other out. So look,
All right.
you said a good point. Like, yeah, if somebody says something to me and they said it however they said it, it may turn me off. And I feel like if we decide that we're going to offer some criticism, offer some help, some advice, whatever, we got to evaluate who we're talking to, because the goal is to be heard. The goal is not to create any division. If my goal is for Sherrell, I want you to know that your ponytail looks better on the right side than the left. I got to think about how I'm going to say that, because your hair may be precious to you. And I got to figure out, all right, I don't want Sherrell to feel like I'm being negative. I want her to just hear my opinion. And at the end of the day, she could take it or leave it, but I don't want her to not like me because of the way I approached it. I gave it to her. So I think that's the other side of it. Like, communication is always a two-way street.
People have to be cognizant of that. You know, my friends used to tease me about being sensitive. And as we've gotten older, they still make jokes like, you know, you got to be careful what you say to Sherrell. And I'm like, yeah, you should. Yeah. Like, consider me as a person. You know, like, yes, please consider me as a person and how you're going to bring this information to me. Because you know that about me, don't talk to me like that. You know, you can tell me what you want to say, but, you know, you need to make sure that it's presentable for Sherrell, you know, because the same way that someone would talk to you, it's not the same way I expect them to be able to talk to me. You may have a little more tough skin than me, and they can tell you, like, you know, you shouldn't wear your hat backwards on the webinar or, you know, on Zoom. And
yeah, come
you
at
have
me,
to tell me, like,
come
when
at me.
When you come to me, you may have to say, you know what, Sherrell, for this particular setting, you want to make sure that you don't have your hat on backwards, either turn to the front or you can take it off, or, you know, it's saying the same thing, but it's two different deliveries on it. And you have to, that's so important for anybody, not just people like me that are sensitive, but for anybody that you're trying to, you know, yeah, give a message to. Consider them as a person and consider them for who they are.
Look, just like anybody can feel love in a lovey-dovey situation, you can feel love in people's words, and you can feel hate and disrespect in people's words. So if we approach everybody with the ideal of I'm trying to offer love, I feel like it helps. It helps somebody like you that's like, it takes a certain person. No, but if everybody brings love, I can start hearing more people. So it takes growth on both ends, and I guess you be the change that you want to see in the world. So hopefully if you do it, two people, they'll start to understand, like, all right, Sherrell, I can hear stuff from her. I don't know if you gave it with love. Well, I felt love. I just felt like, you know what, I need to listen to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's continue down into the book. So Buck goes through some tough times at the company. They get accused of a murder of a young woman when one of their volunteers brings a girl out to, I think it was China or Japan, and kills her. So, and he goes on stage and he puts on a show. I mean, he dives right in. So the quote that came up was, there's no such thing as halfway crook. You get all the way in, or you're going to run the ... over. So for him, even though he was new to this company, even though he was new to interacting with his boss, he decided that he was all in and he committed, and it turned out well. To me, I don't feel like his intentions were aware of the whole situation, because I felt like he was wrong for doing what he did. But because he dove in, to me, it came out flawless. I think that's the word you used earlier. So is that how you feel like you have to attack any situation at work, even if it's something that you're not necessarily all the way in your personal life behind? Do you feel like you have to just dive in with your complete self for it to mature into gold, platinum, diamond, whatever?
Me being the person that I am, I would not.
Yeah.
I'm a person that has to view things from a couple of different angles, right? Before I decide to go in. I mean, like he literally, just put it all on the table.
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of courage. I mean, thank God it worked out for him, right?
Right.
And it was helpful to him, but I'm definitely not that person. And maybe it's because I am a bit of an overthinker. Um, so for me personally, I would not. I would have to come up with a foul-proof strategy to
Yeah.
approach certain things like that. But for some people, I mean, we met his confidence in the beginning of the book, in when he was at Starbucks, and
Right.
like you talked about when he first met Rhett, and it's just like you don't know this guy. Besides, he comes in here and order his same dark roast every day or whatever he was ordering, and you dove right in and told him what he wanted and why he wanted it.
Yeah.
So he has that kind of personality. He has that mindset that I can see why that works for him.
So let me ask you this, talking about personalities, because I consider myself an introvert. And I feel like I'm a strategist. So like I have to think about it and go through it. But when it comes to action, is it an all in or at the side of the pool, sticking your foot in, trying to feel it out type mentality when you actually decide to go in?
Now, I would say do as I say, not as I do.
Hey,
And I would
like
say
you
you got
said,
to go all
we're growing.
in. Right. I would say you got to go all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't, like we talked about the pool, like you put that toe in, you like, oh, that's too cold. I'm not getting in there.
Yeah.
But you go when you in there and you good to go.
Say
So,
you can't swim if you don't get in.
right.
Look, so here go my book plug. So in my life, I had an opportunity. I kind of created an opportunity to chase what I felt like was my desire. I wanted to be a receiver in football, and I made a decision like this is what I'm gonna do. I don't care if y'all tell me I'm a kicker. I don't care if y'all tell me I'm not good enough. But that decision was followed by commitment and chase and drive. And it was so much that I gained from just diving in that I may not have, I mean, people might not even see me if I would have been kind of tiptoeing, but it took some strategy. It took some time. It took some thinking. How am I going to do this? But I feel like once you decide to go, when it's your moment at Starbucks and you like, this is my chance to impress this guy, you got to go. Like, I ain't, hey, mom, Jesus, take the wheel. I'm diving, whatever. But once you decide to go, you got to go. And honestly, I feel like you don't even know what's going to come on the other side of diving in, but you'll never find out if you stay on the side of the pool.
Right.
Makes
Right.
sense.
No, I understand.
You understand? Okay. So in thinking about that process of diving in, and we can step past him on stage. Once you dive in, it's going to be a lot of things that you see, experience that are different that were behind you. The quote that I saw was fight to maintain your focus no matter the circumstances. So it can be things, and I started to see him really change when he got that new deal that saved the company, and he was working for the other guy. I think it was Barry V. He that was supposed to be like a similar guy from Gary V, the social media mogul. Yeah. So
I mean,
he he was dating, he was going out with women every night, he was snorting cocaine, he was doing all these things that weren't in his space before he dove in and committed and said, I'm going to do this. To me, he kind of lost his focus. And when we get into, and I'm gonna continue to use the pool analogy. Once we get in there, we got to realize that our goal is still to get to the other side. And though things are going to be floating by, entertaining us, we still got to maintain that focus. So let's jump to Sherrell's life. What type of distractions jump up into your face, your space, um, as you try to go after your goals, after you try to go after the end of the pool, the other side?
Hmm. It's outside. I always want to go outside and I need to be inside business. I'm always like, I'm not being, I know that's so surface level, but
When you say
if
outside, what you
outside
mean?
calls me out the door, I'm at the bar, I'm going out, like, and I need to be inside. It could be a weekday. Like, if somebody could call me right now afterwards, and I know that when I get off here, I need to go, and do work on my business.
Yeah.
I need to work on X, Y, and Z. But I get very easily distracted. If there is something that will take me away from being in the house, I'm going to do it. It takes a lot for me to really just kind of sit down and just drill this out. Like, I'm probably the distraction, probably.
I say that's awareness right there.
I had to
So
talk that one out. I was like, oh no.
it's me. I'm the one. So tell me this. Do you feel like it's gotten worse in COVID times? Because I mean that's where we are in life. Is like we've been supposedly stuck home for a year. You feel like now it's like, oh yeah, I really
I
got to
think
get out.
Yeah, and I got my vaccination shot. So now I'm like, I really can be out here in these streets.
Well, to the moon.
Right. But and I work from home. I've always, even before COVID, I worked from home. So like when quarantine hit, it was kind of worse for me because it was like, I'm used to being at home, but I look forward to that time that, I could go out and I could go somewhere because I needed that time out of
Yeah,
the house, So, oh no, I'm stuck in here.
like for
It,
real
it
stuff.
it definitely, it was an adjustment. But I don't know if it would have been harder than for people that were in offices that had to adjust to working from home full time.
Okay. What's your business that you're working on? Are you open to talking about that?
So yeah, let me do my little shameless plug real
Go
quick.
ahead, put it in. No shame at
So
all.
I'm the owner of Be Intimate Events. What I initially was trying to do was start my own event planning / coordinating company. Actually turned into something a little more on the craft side. So I do custom gifts for any occasions. So we started out for Valentine's Day doing custom gift boxes, custom glassware, custom ribbon, and it just took off from there. And so any event, I've done teacher appreciation, Mother's Day. I have Father's Day gift boxes available now that I'm customizing. And anytime birthday gifts, graduation, I've done them all. So that is what I'm working on. And so like doing that piece is the easy part, but trying to focus on website, marketing, taking the business to the next level. Like those are the things that I need to focus more on because the crafting side of it is what I enjoy the most. So I'm going to knock those projects out,
Yeah.
easily. But really taking this company to the next level is what I need to sit down and do.
So that's what I was going to ask you. What part of the business do you need to focus on? And you expressed that. So to me, the way I kind of look at growth is like everything is kind of difficult, and you may like it, but it's still difficult in the beginning. So you started doing the crafts, you kind of learn the ins and outs of what works, what doesn't work, what bonds well together, those kind of things. And now you got the flow down, but now it's another piece that you got to learn. So initially, it's gonna not be fun. It's not gonna be easy, but you put in the time, the focus, the energy to grind through that. And now you've got that skill
Mhm.
in your toolbox that you can carry with you, and then you get another skill that you can put in your toolbox. And at the end of 30 years, you got this boundless toolbox that you can kind of pull back. And eventually we start to pass jobs on to people, but you know how it's supposed to work. But it takes that focus for a period of time to get through the what I'll call the grind of it. Cause me and accounting right now. So I've been working on the marketing thing for probably about 6 months now. And I kind of got a good flow in there. I know I got still more to learn, but now it's adding monetary coordination with it, like putting bank accounts together and making sure the taxes and all. So this is a tough space for me to kind of grow in. But I know once I gain this, I got it forever. And then I can go on and learn the next skill. So it does take that focus to sit in the house and not be all excited. But on the flip side, we do need to have things in our lives that we enjoy, that we can relax our minds, that kind of rejuvenate us. Because sitting in the house for a year, not being able to do anything, yeah, it's cool to grind, but your mind has to relax it as well. So I see from both sides, but even when we go out into the world, we still got to have that focus. Like, all right, I stay out till 10. I go home and work for 2 hours and get back to it.
Right.
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 So Book went through all of this craziness. He's gained his sales. I mean, he's an amazing salesman. I'm reading the book and he's selling me. But what he learned was, go ahead.
I wanted what I pointed out. So, he has these little snippets where he kind of cuts away from the narration, right? And he kind of has these little tips to us about basically how to sell, right? Like sales 101, think of a salesman. What I took away from that, because it's not really about selling anything in particular. There were life lessons that were in the book. So what I was able to do, not all of them, but quite a few of them, you can take the word sales and change it with life. And you had this deep, like, one moment, I got it.
I got time.
So I got my actual book. I know you're an audio listener.
Yeah,
one particular.
Some of us are dyslexic.
Okay, here's one. Everyone thinks the key to succeeding in sales is motivation. Wrong. Motivation fades in an instant, but inspiration, and he kind of goes on about some inspiration and talks about rest. So that one is like, everyone thinks the key to succeeding in life is motivation. Wrong. Motivation fades in an instant, but inspiration. And then there was one more that was a good one I did.
Well, how would you define inspiration before we run away from that?
Inspiration, I think, is instilled in you. Motivation, you can motivate me right now, right? Like what you just told me about buckling down. Now I got that, toolkit. I can put that in my toolkit. That's motivation.
Right.
But we can have a more in-depth conversation about you giving me, for me personally, a life story or something that I can relate to, of how you may have overcame something, or something that I can relate to. To me, that's inspiring. You just telling me like, oh yeah, you can do it. Okay, yeah, I can do it, but that's not necessarily inspiring, because it's not anything that I can relate to, because right now in this moment, I probably feel like I can't do it, or I haven't been able to do it, but you giving me something that is a lot more relatable, I'm inspired by it. And now I can feel like, what, Wallace told me about that time with XYZ, whatever. If he was able to do it, or he approached it this way, let me try this way. I'm inspired to move forward and do it.
So you feel like more motivation is short term, inspiration lasts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I feel like I got the same definition for the word purpose. Like, and honestly, it's like whatever you connect with, and I hold that word purpose dear to my heart. But it's the same thing as that inspiration. Like, I can look at my cousin, I can look at my sister, and that's my inspiration. That's my purpose for trying to continue to learn, to grow, because I want them to see more than I saw. If I got to go through the tough times, I want them to be able to come to me when they're going through it, and be able to use me as a reference. Like, man, I can save you, bro. But I want to be the I'm inspired by young people trying to grow. I'm inspired by young athletes pushing through their tough times. So I feel you. That's my purpose in my mind. So as long as you figure out however you want to describe it, and I like the word inspiration, inspiring. But mine is purpose. Whatever it takes for you to catch on to that feeling, that's what we had to get to. And that's what I was trying to see if how different motivation and inspiration was, but the word inspiration is the same thing as purpose for me.
Yeah.
So what was your next quote? You was getting ready to do another one.
And actually, you touched on this very early in our conversation. You said one of the most important keys to success in sales is focus. And he goes on a little bit more. But I think one of the most important keys to life is focusing
Yeah.
for whatever you do. Whatever it may be for you in your life is to focus. Never let anything or anyone throw you off track, especially people who seem to be born with it all. So that was just another one where I just was like, this isn't, you can't really go into reading this book thinking he's really trying to teach me how to be a
A
salesman.
salesperson. Yeah.
Because yeah, it's so much deeper than it.
Yeah. Did you catch that the first time you went through it, or did it take you going back through it? Because I told you I saw different things when I went back through the second time.
No, it's definitely a much more purpose-filled book the second time around. I
Yeah,
think the first
definitely.
time that you read it, you're in it to you're just watching the story play out because you don't really know what's going to happen, and it takes quite a few left turns in the book that you don't
Yeah.
really see happening. So you're just in it for the ride the first go round. And then when you get done with it, I had to sit with, like, I couldn't even pick up my next book after that. Like I had to wait a minute and like
Yeah.
come down from the high from this book. And I was like, that was a lot that happened,
A lot.
in this book. Yeah. So the second time around, you're looking at it from a different lens, but much more purposeful.
Yeah. And I think I don't know, we talked about it. We talked about it before. It's funny how when you're in the midst of the story, you don't see the same thing when you're looking down on the story. So once you've experienced, or you're looking back on the story, once you've experienced something, you're going through it, you're trying to figure it out, you're grinding. But once you get out of that situation and look back on it, or you go through it again, when you see it again, you can see from a more aerial view. You can look down and be prepared for different things. So as people go through these challenges that we talked about earlier, look back on what you went through and see what you learned from. Just like when you had your instance at that job you didn't want to be at. Now you were able to look back on it and see what I did grow from it. So next time I face something that is challenging, I can be like, you know what am I going to get out of this? Because to me, that's honestly how I can get through something that's tough. Something that I didn't expect is like, all right, I know there's something here for me to grow from. So let me work hard enough to figure that thing out. I'm finding my way out of this
Right.
thing, but let me see what it is. Let me see what's here for me. Yeah. So I got
That's
two
important.
more. It is. I got two more quotes. And I feel like once I got to the end of this book, these two were everything I need to learn, the biggest things I need to learn, because everything was valuable. But he said, each one teach one. Simple, basic, easy, right? But when I heard it after reading or listening to the entire book, it's like you go through your entire life, and whatever that is to this point, I'm 31 years old. I go through these 31 years and I learn everything that I learned on my path. Now I got to teach the next person. And that's why I said that's kind of tied to my purpose. It's like, I don't know if I learned everything in a book, everything in school, but the things that I did learn in life, let me teach the next person that may come behind me. Let me teach the person that's beside me. Shoot, sometimes you teach the person that's in front of you, but your life has so much value that you can add to somebody else's life. So in that simple line, each one teach one, it hit me so hard. So when you hear it, when you heard it, what did you feel? Hey, look, you can say not much.
Um, yeah, I'll be honest, that didn't necessarily resonate with me in the book when I read that. It was fitting for
Yeah,
the plot of the story, but I didn't feel much with that. I'm interested that glad to know that you did,
yeah.
and your take on it, but
Hey, look, but that's the exciting part about different people. It's like we can both look at the same thing, hear the same thing, but you receive it differently than I receive it. But if I can come express to you, we can both learn from it. But And I can, if you, let's say there's a passage that you heard or read that really hit you, I can kind of see your perspective. You explain it to me. So this open dialogue allows that opportunity. But if I just be like, oh, Sherrell don't know what she's talking about, then I can never grow from what Sherrell's experience is. So that I love the fact that you didn't catch on to it. Great. But now I can share how I felt with you. And then next time you hit me, all right.
I got you.
So let's run past that real quick. And as we kind of tail out on the back end of this, the quote that was at the end, it says, and I feel like I keep going back on this because like we live for each other. It's once we get past adolescent age, it's not about us anymore. When you lift others up, your arms get stronger. So when you heard that, and I'm gonna go into what I've heard. Of course, I want to know what I talk about. But when you hear that quote, what do you think of?
And say it to me again. When you lift others up.
When you lift others up, your arms get stronger.
Um, I think that's really a testament to who you are as a person, and you're gonna get stronger. So, like if you're, for you, you're in the gym. When you squat more or you bench press more, when you hit that goal, what are you gonna do? You're gonna grab some more weight and you're gonna go stronger, right? You're gonna go harder. So now, like, I can reach more people. So the more people, like, and it's just
I hear you. Keep going, my bad. I hear you.
gonna keep reaching out to more people. Like you got, Jack on your back. Now Jack done reach back and brought Adam up. So you got Jack and you got Adam. Adam's gonna reach back, and you got all these people that have learned from you.
Sherrell, you just started a whole conversation right now. You just started a whole conversation right now, Sherrell. Because I think about, and a big portion of this book was about being a Black man in a white world and kind of maturing through it. But you think about like, and I'm gonna take major figures. You think about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, then you take it back another Frederick Douglass. You think about Harriet Tubman. These people, their job was to help other people. But what it did was them getting strong and helping this. All right, I help these people in this generation. I'm still getting lifted up by Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, like Booker T. Washington. Like I'm 3 generations past these people, and I'm getting lifted up. And it's crazy. Like I didn't know where you were going, but you hit it. No, that's 100%. And you lift other people up, and it's like I like the word legacy. It's like what did you leave behind in whatever space you left? That's the type of legacy that I want to leave. Is like I want people to grow from the experience of my life. Like I lived, but you grew. Like if I'm gone today, say it again. I
run
live.
That back. Run that line.
Run it back. Hey, look, let's see if I can remember. I lived, so you grew. Like that's exactly like honestly. Book plug. That's what the book is for. I want somebody down the line that's in the midst of their struggle, their internal, their external struggle, to learn from the experience that I had, the experience of my life, the only one that I ever lived, and take it and run past me. Like, bro, what I did, cool, learn from it, but take it and run. Fast forward, like be greater. That's my whole. Sherrell, you hit me, man. That hurt, man. It felt good, but it hurt. Man, more weight. You can lift more people. Yeah. Hey, look, we waited an hour for you to hit that gym. I love it. That was dope, man.
You had me with the first one, like on that line. I'm like, I didn't get nothing for that. I had to come back strong.
Hey, but look, see, people receive the same message differently. So now Sherrell, this has been phenomenal for me. I can't tell you how you felt about it, but this has been phenomenal. I appreciate your time, your wisdom, your experience. We're looking at Black Book by Mateo Askaripour.
Yes, good job.
Yeah.
You're better than I am.
Hey, we all growing. Now, Is there anything else you would like to say to the people? I'd like to give a soapbox for anybody that comes on this show to say whatever you feel you want to get out.
I'm gonna just keep it with Black Buck. It was a great book. I just saw it on Instagram one day and I just grabbed it. Had no idea what it was about, and it turned out to be a very, very great read. So I would encourage you guys to go out and read it. If you just, do something different, then, we're all in the house. We all probably, watching TV while we're doing different stuff in our downtime, pick a book up. It doesn't have to be this one. I appreciate you, Wallace, for this opportunity and encouraging me. I felt a lot of pressure on finding the right book.
No, man.
We could do
You found the perfect book.
And I still want you to go back and try to, I know you like Audible, but try to find Makes Me Want to Holler by Nathan McCall. I think you would thoroughly enjoy that book as well.
I'm with it. I'm slowly getting back into the tangible books. But nah, it has been like I said at the beginning, like you without knowing have truly impacted the foundation of this adult Wallace. You really were a foundational piece, a staple in what I've done and what I'm doing. So I appreciate you joining the conversation. Why not? But no, I appreciate you joining the conversation, joining the huddle, picking this book that I probably would not have come across. It's like it was for a purpose, and I really appreciate you.
Yes, no problem. Now, I'm going to tell you to do your plug for your book. I want to hear a little more about The Route They Call a Dream. Did I say it right?
Yeah, it's underrated. The Route They Call a Dream, called an NFL dream.
Okay.
So real quick at the end. When I was young, I always wanted to play football. Of course, the childhood dream. But I was real small, so my parents wouldn't let me play. But I always wanted to. And I finally got to high school after playing soccer for 10 years. I got on the team. They made me be the kicker because I played soccer. But I was determined to play receiver. I wanted to be like Jerry Rice and Randy Moss. I wanted to go out there and catch touchdowns, be the superstar, all of that great stuff. But they wouldn't let me. In high school, never really got a shot. I went to college as a walk-on kicker. It's crazy how things that you don't necessarily want to do help you in the places that you want to be. So I got a chance to walk on as a kicker, and I made a decision, like I was telling you earlier. I made a decision. I'm a receiver, and that's it. If you don't want me to be that, then I'm done. I'm going to give you everything I got. So I decided to chase being a receiver. And it was great that I became a A&T all-time leading receiver. I got a shot in the NFL. I went to the CFL, won a Grey Cup. All of that stuff is great, but it's crazy all the people I met, the experiences I had, the lessons I learned just chasing what I felt was for me. And I feel like I'm able to stand up today because of that chase and because of everything that came with it. So that's why the book is to inspire people to just chase what you feel. It don't have to be football. It don't have to be a sport. Just if you feel it's for you, chase it. And be aware in the process that it's so much more you're going to learn about yourself. It's so much more you're going to learn about the world, other people in the process of chasing. And then at the end of the day, if you end up in the space you thought you were going to be, great. If you don't, you can still stand tall because you gave everything you had and you're just going to become. I guess not even what are you going to become? It's you're going to become. So that's my book plug for Underrated, The Route They Call an NFL Dream.
All right. I'm going to have to get I want an autograph copy of it.
Oh, that's easy.
Okay.
For you, that's easy. So, like I said, it's been a pleasure. Look, hopefully we can have you back. We pick another book to go through. So, Sherrell, thank you. And to the people out there, it's been a pleasure. Have a good one.
Thank you. Good night.